finally that time of year to get into the pond. I'm going to pull out the water lily and prep it in a new bag with new medium to go back in. Sadly, we get one pretty flower out of that. We've had very few in here. One of the first steps I've done in the last few days, just in preparation for today, is I've allowed a lot of this water to evaporate. The waterfall and the heat, the water evaporates pretty quickly. I do refill it normally every few days. I add some water to it, but the last few days I haven't, just to make this a little bit more shallow and easier to pull the plant out. Let's get started. This is a very messy, dirty, and wet thing to accomplish, so make sure you have all of everything that you need for the entire process at hand, ready to go. One is, what are you going to put the plant in? And this is basically a canvas bag. It's a aquatic water plant bag. They're pretty inexpensive. You get them in packs, Amazon. They're really not bad. Second is sand. Now, 2 years ago when I did this, or 3 years ago, I can't remember which, but it did make a difference in the blooms. I used sand for the entire bag. This time around, I'm going to put sand on the bottom as a base, but I got this aquatic planting media, and it was on sale from Amazon as well. And I'll walk you through the entire process, but now it's time to get in the pond. And I almost forgot, it's obviously man-made, very tiny little pond. There are snakes and a lot of critters in there. So socks are going to go over the bottom part of my pants, and these are very old shoes, basically just to protect my legs when I go in there. The water isn't much above my knees. Well, that was exhausting, and sadly, the wind moved my camera, so you missed half of it. I not only took out the water lily bag, but I also cleared out all of the old lily pads, and thank you, sweetheart, lily pads and everything else. I need a drink. Iced tea and lemonade, awesome in Texas. Okay, I'm going to do first is get the new bag ready. And as I said, can you get me something sharp or pointy? No, never mind. I have it. It went through. Oh, well, and I'm spilling it everywhere. I'm going to put a bed of sand in the bottom to begin with. And as I said, a few years ago when I did this, and folks, I'm telling you, we used to have pretty flowers like the one you saw in there. But after I repotted it, the difference was just so striking. Thank you, sweetie. All right, but so the difference this time, and I may need the second bag out of that box, I think, is I'm going to use the aquatic planting media, and it's supposed to be oh so fabulous for water plants. Let's see how far this fills up the bag. Yeah, I am going to need that other bag. These things are deceptively large, and you don't have to fill it all the way up. As you can see, the bag stretches and flattens, so it's all good. Thank you, dear. Okay, and I'm leaving all my wet clothes on, obviously, because I have to get it back in the water. All right, so let's see how much this fills it up. That's good. I think we're good with that amount. All right, and then mixed in with this, I have Thrive Aquatic Plant Fertilizer. Now, these used to be in cubes, crystal. They've been shaking around quite a bit, and as I said, they're a few years old. Which one is that one, honey? Waterfall cleaner. All right. Yeah, we don't want that in there, do we? Wouldn't that hurt the plants? All right, so fertilizer is now more of like a crystal form. So, but that's fine. I'm just going to sprinkle a whole bunch in here because it does like it. Now, originally, when we had this put in 25 years ago, how long ago, honey? That one's ready. 30 years ago. The water lily went in and we didn't touch it for 20 some odd years. And it was beautiful and we had flowers, but every year fewer and fewer flowers came up. Man, this thing is heavy, folks. And then I started my gardening mania and started watching YouTube videos on how to up pot water lilies and gave it a try. And the flowers we had that next year are awesome. Can you check, make sure the wind didn't move it? I'll cut those parts out. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to try to deconstruct this a little. As you can see, this pine cone ugly looking thingy, this is where the water lily grows from. Now, in digging out all of the stuff in the pond, when I was pulling out all of the scrunge from in the pond, and you can see how much this used to just be all sand. And look at all the scrunge that developed over the top of it, all of the roots, dead leaves. So you just sort of have to peel that away until you get to these tubers. But in digging this stuff out of the pond to try to clean it out a little bit, because as you saw, it's not very deep, I came across several of the water lily tubers. So it has definitely multiplied. And when I pulled it out a few years ago, there was only one tuber. It was probably the same one we got from 25 years earlier, or it probably had more and they died over the years. Okay, babe. I will not. I promise. Not allowed to go out in the pond without someone watching me. Okay, here we go. All right. Goodness sakes. Yeah, it has definitely grown since the last time I did this. And there are many more tubers in here. I don't think I'm going to use them all, to be honest with you. I may put them in water and ask around if anyone wants them. In the neighborhood. Yeah. Here's one. Here's two. 3. Oh, goodness. 4. I think there's several in here. And it seems brutal, but you just literally take off the leaves, rip off some of the roots, as much as possible, put it back in the medium that we just created, stick it back in the water, and it grows. And I'll show you how to orient it. Goodness. Okay, well, since this seems to be... Oh, there's 2 here. This is crazy. I'm going to rinse this off with a hose to try to show you what I'm getting here. And I'm soaking wet already, so I guess it doesn't matter how much wetter I get. At least this is clean water. Okay, this is crazy. All right. So this is one of them. And I keep saying tuber. I'm not sure what the actual scientific name is, but that is one. And it is attached at the base. Oh, goodness, there's a little one here. I'm not going to worry about the little one. I'm just going to take it off. Okay. And it is attached at the base to this one. Now, everywhere you see the leaves growing up, everywhere there you see one of these little knobbers, is literally an individual plant. So if you wanted to, you could cut these and section them into different water lilies, which is not what I'm going to do. I may end up just planting this one, but out of curiosity, I'm going to check and see what others I do have. Okay, so here it is. It's got some of the medium stuck to it. I honestly think I'm going to break these into two. And literally what you do is, for the base, you back that up to the edge of your planting pot, whatever you choose to use. And then you plant it going towards the center where you want it to grow up. And as I said, there are a lot here. So I may end up just using these two. I might break this. Okay, so the leaves are growing up in this direction. So I want it planted down that way. And yes, folks, I am going to break this. All right. So yeah, I think that'll be one. And I think I might do this one. Let me see what else I have over here. Yep. Here's another one. And another one. This is crazy. Yeah, I am not going to put all these back. I might put them in a bucket of water and go on my Facebook neighborhood Facebook thing and say, I've got water lily tubers for anyone who wants them, and see if I get some interest. Well, anyway, that's two more. I'm just going to put them there temporarily. All right, let's see how many more we have. Well, this is the last clump. Let's rinse this off. The pot before I start. Yep. You can see inside the pot or just the edges. All right. So obviously I have a ton of tubers. I'm going to put them on Facebook or Nextdoor app, whatever, and just tell them I have them available. I don't need 3, but I'm going to go ahead and put in 3 for right now. Now remember, where you see where the leaves were growing up, the stems facing in this direction, that's the direction you want this tuber to be laying. You lay it down like this. And you're going to put it in the medium. And you don't cover it up much. It's amazing how much stuff in the pond will fill this in. You more just want them to be stabilized. But one of the tips and tricks I got 2 years ago when I did this was for the base, and it's the bigger part, and then off, goes this pine cone shaped thing. You want that end to be backed against the side of the pot with the rest of it going towards the center. I'm not sure what difference that makes, but I followed it, and as I said, the difference was amazing. I haven't uppotted this in 2 years, 3 years, something like that, a few years. And they were way overgrown, as you saw. The leaves were just not very pretty. The flowers were not very developed. So, all right. I think we're good here. What is she doing? My dog is trying to eat the water lily tubers. Okay, so, and this we're going to put right back in the water. Can you see our fish, Moby Dick? He's swimming close. He wants that water lily back. And And to go along with the name of my channel, Garden Cafe, It's All an Experiment, I forgot to put the stones on the top, and that's what holds the tubers down. They just started floating up. So at this point, I'm trying to put it back into the sand and the media, but quickly realized it wasn't going to work. So tried to add some more stones, which clearly didn't work. I finally decided to be smart, just take the bag out and add the rocks on top to put them where they belong and try again. Okay, so everything's back in. And boy, it looks so sad and empty, but give it a few weeks. Those leaves are going to start coming up. And if it's like it was a few years ago when I first repotted it, the flowers that come up are just stunning. I'm going to turn this to a shower. And I'm just going to let this fill up. It's going to take about 15 minutes. After it's filled up, I'm going to turn on the waterfall, and we are finished for another few years with the water lilies. The water is still refilling, but it is above the pump and the bag that I put around the pump. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in the waterfall to get this started. It's very murky right now, but after a few hours, all of the ick will settle. That'll look clearer, and I'm sure the fish will be much happier. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed my video, please like, subscribe, and share. It helps me to grow my channel. Have a wonderful day.